Okay, depth chart be danged. I know we didn't get one, but we here at Locked On Bama are calling our shot. Jalen Milroe is QB1.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. I'll tell you about Gametime in just a bit. Jimmy, we're calling our shot here at Locked On Bama. Not really going out on a limb, but we're saying Jalen Milroe will be QB1, despite the fact that one of your cohorts at On 3 thought he'd only have 297 yards passing for the year. I know we figured out that was a typo, but still kind of funny. I'm just on the Milroe train right now. If anybody besides Jalen Milroe takes the first snap Saturday, I, right now, will be shocked.
Yeah, I was asked this morning on a radio show out of Dothan. Lance asked me, what is the best case scenario for Alabama at quarterback? I mean, what should Alabama fans hope for? I thought the answer was really easy, Luke, and it's based really on what we're saying here on the show this morning. The best case scenario is that Jalen Milroe starts the game against Middle Tennessee, and he's so good they never take him out. And by never take him out, I mean all 15 games, maybe 14, maybe 13. But that's the best case scenario, right? I mean, the first guy on the field is so good, they just don't take him off the field. Now, how realistic is that? Now, that's why we have, podcasts and message boards and sound offs and letters to the editor. I mean, this is why we love talking about sports, because we're all trying to predict or guess how it's going to play out. Just because that's the best case scenario doesn't mean that's what's even likely to happen, but it is the best case scenario. And look, I'm excited about Jalen. A lot of things to be excited about. This was a top 10 quarterback nationally when he came out of high school in Houston, Texas. A lot of people forget, ironically, he was committed to the Texas Longhorns when he was early in his high school career. I think at Katy High School near Houston, Texas. Jalen was committed to Texas, and Alabama had to work to flip him, and they eventually did flip him to Alabama. And it's weird that Jalen's third start might be against those Texas Longhorns he was committed to. We've seen him play, and there's a lot of good there. I know people focus on the bad because I guess that's where we're at in the world in 2023. But this is a big, strong kid. He's tremendously fast. When I say he's fast, he's a candidate as the fastest player on the whole football team, which is amazing because we have a team built on speed, and we have some outside receivers that can fly, like Isaiah Bond and Malik Benson. And we got corners that can really run. Jalen Milroe might be the fastest player on this football team, even at 225 pounds. Tremendously big kid, works really hard in the weight room, loves that end of it, very strong. He also has outstanding intangibles off the field for people that don't know his personality. He's an honor student. He has represented the University of Alabama at the SEC office in the past over student-athlete issues. He speaks intelligently on those things. He is a leader and is well-liked on the football team, as everybody knows by now. He got all the receivers together for their month off. They get the month off of May, and he got his wide receivers together, and they all traveled en masse and spent their month off working, training in Orlando. So this is a leader, well-liked, smart kid, works hard. He's just kind of been a developmental guy at quarterback, meaning, as a passer, it was always going to take some time. It does for most. That's why I've often compared him to Hurts. There's a lot of similarities between Jalen Hurts, a quarterback from Houston, Texas, and Jalen Milroe, a quarterback from Houston, Texas. They're very similar kids in so many ways. And the thing about Hurts is Hurts was better as a sophomore than he was as a freshman. He was better as a junior than he was as a senior. He was better as a senior than he was as a junior. Now he's better in the NFL than he was in college. We need to hope that Jalen Milroe travels a similar path and be patient while he gets there because, for a lot of these kids, they're not all Bryce. They're not all Tua. They don't all just fall out of the womb this great. Most of them are developmental. And when I say most of them, I'm talking about over half of the starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. I'm not talking about, majority. I mean, most kids aren't like Bryce and two, we're just real blessed to have those guys. Most kids have to work at it really hard and improve year after year after year. I think Milroe can be one of those guys.
I love how you were able to discount childbirth in the middle of that. They just fall out of the womb. Like nobody has to push or, scream in agony. Look at this specimen right here, Jimmy. Look at that beautiful human being. Not me. I need to move out of the way. Look at that. Look at that human being right there. He should get to play with just the beats on, not even a helmet. I mean, Jalen Milroe is a specimen's specimen. If there was a planet full of physical specimens, they would say, God, I wish we could look like Jalen Milroe one day. I mean,
you don't have a lot of quarterbacks who are first off the bus guys. You always want the baddest looking dude you got on the team to get off the bus first. And I'm just kidding. Alabama under Nick Saban, we got a bunch of candidates for that. But it is funny that Milroe's kind of one of those first off the bus guys. He gets off the bus and you're like, holy moly, how are we going to get that pass rusher blocked?
And he outran the bus there. Look, I'm pushing my chips in. I'm going all in on Milroe right now. And I'm going all in. Now, what I've got queen, king suited spades, looking at jack 10 of spades and a 2 of diamonds on the board. And I'm going all in because I got a shot at a royal flush and I got a shot at just a regular flush.
Are you going to be patient through the errors? There's going to be errors. You got to be, if you're going all in, you got to say, hey, the road's going to be a little bumpy, particularly early. And you got to live through the bumps, and hope that there's fewer bumps as you get down the road. And that's what I think will be the case. And he's a playmaker. Hey, 2 interceptions is bad, but it's not when you also account for 6 touchdowns. And he can do that. We pointed out on the show, whenever we talk about Jalen multiple times, Dak Prescott led the NFL in interceptions a year ago. Yeah, he gets his team to the playoffs. Josh Allen was threw the second most interceptions in the NFL last year. Josh Allen, the Bills are a Super Bowl contender because Josh Allen and Dak Prescott, they make plays on the other end. Yeah, they might throw too many interceptions, but they're also gonna make a lot of plays. So Milroe does have that ability to overcome it by making plays. And we'll see how it goes. What I'm curious Saturday, Luke, I think you figured it out. That's right. Milroe's going to start. Is the leash going to be long? Is there going to be a set rotation? For all we know, Tommy Rees and Nick Saban have decided, all right, no matter what happens, the next guy's coming in on the 4th series of the game, whenever that is. He's coming in the 4th series. It don't matter whether it's been 3 touchdowns or 3 picks. The next guy's coming in on the 4th. They set up something like that. Are they going to rotate, or is it just Milroe's job until Milroe loses the job?
Far be it from me to criticize the GOAT, but if Milroe is kicking chicken to begin with, let's stick with Milroe, and let's build up the confidence. Let's build up the ego. If he throws 3 picks in a row, let's put somebody else in. Right. I think this is easy, but
they're not going to ask me, but that's what I would do. My opinion, if Coach Saban wants to know it, and he probably, of course he does. But if Coach Saban wants to know my opinion is Jalen Milroe's the quarterback until you have to take him out because he's played badly for too long. To me, it's just Milroe's job. That's the way I would look at it. I wouldn't rotate or take a look at other guys. He's been the best guy in practice, then he's going to be the best guy in the game. So you're just got to live through a couple of errors. But if the errors start stacking up and now you're losing your chance to win a game, whether it's MTSU or whether it's Texas, then you make the change. But I stick with Milroe until he, quote, loses the job.
Jimmy, I want to tell everybody a quick story first. Yesterday I was in the Atlanta airport, had several delays. Thanks, Delta. And our new sponsor is Delta. Dang it. So we had several delays. I was in the Atlanta airport. I had my earbuds in and I'm listening to something and I'm walking and I hear somebody go, it sounded like, and I said, it kind of sounded like somebody said that's Locked On Bama. So I whipped around because I was like, there's no way somebody said that though. And there was this wonderful couple, super nice dude, Kenny C. I won't say your last name. It couldn't have been any nicer. He was like, man, I watch you on YouTube. And he said, you're locked on Bama. I said, well, I appreciate that. He said, well, how's Jimmy doing? I was like, dang it, you don't even know my name. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But anyway, he was super nice. And that was his first question. He's like, who's going to win the job? And I said, man, I think it's going to be Milroe. That's kind of what made me decide I'm going to be definitive in my Milroe-isms right now. Jimmy, I need to tell everybody about Gametime right now. Look, if you've ever been stressed out about getting tickets, don't be anymore. Go to Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to get tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater, whatever. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you're going to have. And look, if you there we go. It's your Gametime app. There it is right there. And I don't know if you can see it, but you could get a Auburn football for Massachusetts game. You can get in for $2 on Gametime. You can get in for $2. And if you give them $4, they'll give you 6 tickets. I'm just teasing. Go to Gametime. They've got flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. I promise you, I've used this app before. It is awesome. Gametime is where you want to go. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That is super cool. $20 off your first purchase. You could get 10 tickets to the Auburn, Massachusetts game. Locked On College is the code you want to use in the Gametime app. Jimmy, okay.
UMass beat New Mexico State this past weekend. It was a big upset. New Mexico State, favored to win, lost to Auburn opponent UMass. That's something.
Well, here's the other thing. I think I'm pretty sure Auburn plays New Mexico State later in the year too, so it didn't really matter. Now, this is football season. Thank you for being back. I love this time of year because it's the only time of year I can really read AL.com because they have articles that aren't just Joseph Goodman crapping all over everything Alabama. So they have articles like SEC by the numbers. And it's usually got these really interesting numbers about the SEC for that week or the season or whatever. This particular one talks about how 0 programs have won 3 national championships in a row during the poll era. Of course, Alabama has had its opportunities, but hadn't won 3 in a row. It talks about 2 SEC teams have new coaches, of course, Brian Harsin and then Guy Incognito at Mississippi State. What was Zach Arnett? I'm sorry. I can't get over the fact that people just can't remember who's there. Here's the one that starts to stand out to me. 2 SEC players have scored more points than Alabama's Will Reichert. I'm a fool. I didn't know this. I didn't know Will Reichert was 3rd on the all-time scoring list in the SEC. Do you know who number 1 and number 2 are?
Are they both kickers?
Yes.
I don't. I would. Is one of them that York kid at LSU?
No. But
Butler from Georgia?
No. I'm going to stop you there because this could go on for a while. Daniel Carson holds the record, 480 points. Will Reichert has 426. And Rodrigo Blankenship, who we all remember, Captain Rex Specs, has 440 points.
I met Blankenship at the Senior Bowl. He's a really nice guy. I've wondered, is Rodrigo Blankenship and the head coach of the Dolphins the same guy?
They could be. And like that, he's like Superman. His only disguise is glasses. But
Daniel Carlson was one heck of. I hate giving Auburn a lot of credit here on Locked On Bama, but Daniel Carlson,
he was awesome.
One heck of a kicker. And Will Reichert, for Will Reichert to be breaking a Daniel Carlson record is impressive because that dude is freaking good. He's freaking good now. He's one of the best to me.
He kicked a 62-yarder this past weekend. The Carlson should have been at Alabama. We screwed that up.
The football draft is tonight, and it won't be a win for me unless I'm walking out of there with Daniel Carlson as my kicker.
Now, six players have led the SEC in rushing in consecutive seasons. Quinshon Judkins, of course, from the state of Alabama, could do that. Johnny Musso did it in 70 and 71. How about this one? 16 seasons since Alabama lost to a team that finished the season with a losing record, the longest such streak in the nation. Do you remember who it was that Alabama lost to the last time that team had a losing record?
Probably Mississippi State.
It was, but in 06, not 07, Saban's first year. It was 06.
Wow. So it was Mississippi State, but 06. So Louisiana Monroe in 07, when they beat Alabama, actually had a winning record. That was a winning team.
I guess so. I mean,
That's
according to this.
Because Louisiana Monroe doesn't have a lot of winning seasons.
Here's some other things that are just awesome. Again, I love this stuff. I think this is so cool. The Tide streak of 15 seasons with at least 10 victories is the longest major college in history. Alabama's 56 consecutive victories in non-conference regular season games is the longest streak in the nation during the SEC era. The Tide has played 127 games since it most recently lost 2 in a row, has won 28 consecutive September games, and has scored at least 30 points in 7 straight games. The latter is tied with Penn State for the longest active streak in the nation. That's incredible stuff. And, look, I'm not a Bill O'Brien apologist, but that's pretty cool that we scored 30 points in the last 7 games or more.
I say it all the time, and people look at me like that they try to twist themselves into an opinion that matches up. But while Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator at Alabama, no college football team scored more points than Alabama. No one scored more than Alabama while Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator. And I'm not saying that we should have fought to keep him or paid him $1 billion.
None of that.
I'm not arguing any of that. I'm just saying he didn't how can you say that the offensive coordinator that scores the most points is terrible? That's the first part of the job. It's the number one part of the job. Score. He did it better than anybody. And most Alabama fans don't like him.
One other thing that I thought about with all those numbers I threw out, there are a couple of those streaks that could be broken when you consider if Texas comes in here and wins. Alabama's home winning streak, which we hadn't lost at home since LSU in 19, the September game winning streak, the non-conference game winning streak. I mean, all of those things could be broken with one game in September. So, I mean, it just makes it even more huge for me. Anyway, I just love this By the Numbers article, and I appreciate AL.com putting it out. All right, Jimmy, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some changes to Alabama's game day. And we're back. If you've ever wondered why I got to do that pause, is so I know where to put the ad in the podcast part. But you probably didn't care. But I just like throwing little tidbits of information your way. Okay, these are game day changes coming for Alabama, if you're not familiar. Bryant-Denny Stadium field upgrade. Of course, we all knew about that. Look, I've been the first one to say, when it comes November, I'm not sure if Bryant-Denny Stadium is a football field or beach volleyball. It looks like just nothing but the white sands of Destin out there half the time. But it looks like now we've got a field that's going to be able to hold up. This is from an article. The field at Bryant-Denny Stadium was completely reconstructed, adding a new sub-air system with natural grass and synthetic turf aprons. The system includes vacuum-assisted drainage and heated air capabilities in addition to various sensors that will measure things like moisture and temperature. They say will help the stadium's ground crew manage the surface. All right, that's wonderful. I mean, quickly, we can't go much into each one of these, but what do you think about the new turf?
I mean, I'm excited to try something new. Really cool that they've gone with something similar to what they used at Augusta National Golf Club, and similar to what they use for the Miami Dolphins. I understand that it's the same system and the same grass they use for the Dolphins. And when Alabama's played there, it is noticeable to me. The 2 or 3 times I've walked into that stadium where the Dolphins play, I'm blown away by how nice the grass looked. That's something I literally remember. So I'm excited that we're going to have it here. And I walked by the stadium this morning and could peek in and saw the grass, and it looks fantastic.
Fans can now purchase behind-the-scenes locker room tours on Fridays before home games for $25 a person. Alabama ticketing went fully paperless during the COVID 2020 year, and now UA fans can buy a souvenir printed game ticket. They're $15 each. and you can acquire about this at at Crimson Tide Access Program, whatever that is. I love this because I'm going to tell you something I hate. The last national championship game in Indianapolis I went to, I didn't get a ticket. It was all paperless. And I'm like, I want a ticket. I mean, I have this whole thing of tickets. I love my tickets. I hate that I don't have tickets anymore. So I'm hoping that this souvenir printed ticket thing goes back. I'm going to do some research on it and find out.
It's just this part kind of stinks, though. I'm with you, by the way. I miss tickets. I like tickets. And I know I'm an old man waving my fist at the clouds. I know. But I do miss tickets, and I like tickets. But here's the irony. So I paid $100 for my ticket so I can get in. I can now get a souvenir ticket that you're going to charge me $15 more for. I've already bought the ticket for $100 to get in. Now I got to pay another $15 to get a ticket that doesn't get me in. That's kind of a weird thing, but okay.
Yeah.
Just keep piling
So, I
on.
mean, really what it's saying is if you want a ticket, your price for going to the Tennessee game is probably like $150 instead of $135, whatever, if you just have a shaker bins. I like this idea. There's some folks that don't like shakers, but they think it's, beneath Alabama. I wish we had more shakers out there. I think it's cool. Fans will find shaker bins throughout the concourses at Bryant-Denny Stadium, allowing them to pick up complimentary shaker upon entry to use for the game, and you can return it on the way out. This is awesome. I just hope they spray that thing down with Lysol. The only thing I don't like about shakers is if somebody spills a drink on them or whatever, and then they start shaking it and you get bourbon and Coke all over you. Joke's on them. I was probably already drinking bourbon and Coke.
You know how when I was a college kid, we would sneak. When I was a college kid, we would sneak liquor in the games by taping miniatures to the stick of the shaker. So like you'd walk in, and while security's checking you, and you're holding the shaker up, and the miniatures are taped to the stick up and hidden by the shaker.
What we used to do was whoever our date was, tape it to the inside of their thigh. I mean, they did the taping, but I mean, yeah, because that worked. Plus, that's always so much more adventurous. And finally, honorary captain autograph session.
I'm thinking of taking the next step with Luke. That's what they said at the squad. I'm thinking of taking the next step with Luke. I'm letting him tape the bourbon to my thigh this weekend.
Oh, I will neither confirm nor deny that I've done that before to somebody. In fact, I changed my mind. I will confirm it. Honorary captain autograph sessions. For home games, honorary captains will sign autographs at the Bryant Museum starting 5 hours before kickoff. They will then move to the authentic Alabama Player Merchandise Store located at Gate 34 on the south end of Bryant-Denny for another autograph session. Okay, here's where I want my guys concentrating on Texas.
No, as honorary captains.
Oh, honorary captains. Okay.
It's not Dallas. Hey, you can find Dallas Turner and Kool-Aid outside the stadium signing 20 minutes.
I swear I just skipped over the honorary report. And in my defense, this is the first time I'm reading this. So with me.
It's funny because the idea that it was the other way is funny.
I had this vision of Kool-Aid sitting there signing autographs, and Saban's like, we got 15 minutes till kickoff. Exactly. He's like, yeah, but I'm making bukus of money, yo. And I wouldn't blame him.
Mr. Milroe, will you take this picture with my kid? Kickoff's in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, Milroe's he's putting on his pads, trying to take a picture with a kid. God, all that being said, I really do want Kool-Aid McKinstry's autograph. So.
You can get it in today's NIL world if you bring as much money as you bring for your ticket into the game. But
I spent all my money on souvenir tickets. Will he sign those? Okay, that's going to do it for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hey, Kenny, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. And we'll be back tomorrow with more. Till then, roll time.
Roll time.